There once was a man with a flash. He had a nice beard and a stash. He yelled in the mic and lost every fight, then left cause his teammates were trash. Valorant is one of the biggest games of the year so far. Valorant is of course Riot Games' entry into the tactical first-person shooter genre, attempting to take away some market share from CSGO. If I had to describe Valorant using only other games, I'd say it's like if Counter-Strike and Apex Legends, or Counter-Strike and League of Legends, had a baby. Currently, the game has 3 modes. The primary mode is a classic search and destroy mode, which you get in Counter-Strike. Additionally, they have a deathmatch mode, and a more casual search and destroy mode called Spike Rush, which has special power-ups littered across the map. Overall, I really enjoy Valorant, but it can be quite frustrating at times, and I also have concerns over the long-term direction the game will go in, which I think could really hurt the game in the future. But first, let's start with the basics. The graphics aren't anything special. Like with all Riot games, their goal is always to make a game as accessible as possible, so it's clear that the game was designed to run on lower-end computers and laptops. For the most part though, they do a good job of making everything clear and visible, and I wouldn't say the graphics look bad by any means. The sound could use some work though. Sometimes it seems super clear, but I've had cases where people make callouts based on the direction of the sound, only to realize the enemy was coming from a completely different place. The intro screen music is pretty catchy though, not gonna lie. The gameplay is methodical and can become very intense, but it can definitely feel quite slow-paced and sometimes a bit campy by nature, which not everyone will be a fan of. I find the gunplay really satisfying, partially because of the responsive dinks and the little sound cues that play with each kill that occurs. Like with many tactical shooters, the time to kill is insanely short, with some guns only requiring 1 shot to the head to get a kill. Couple that with the fact that the main mode is 1 life per round, you might find yourself sitting around observing a lot, which some people will definitely find boring. The short time to kill makes the game very punishing, and often you'll need to rely on quick reflexes. Additionally, the tagging system slows your movement down quite significantly when you're hit by an enemy bullet, making it so that once you're hit with a bullet in the open, sometimes the only choice you have is to stand your ground and fight. However, the game does provide you a lot of opportunities to outplay your opponents, and oftentimes it's positioning and playing smart which wins battles. It's one of the few games which can actually really get my adrenaline pumping and my hands shaking. The gun balance is okay. I think every gun can be effective depending on the situation, but obviously some are better than others, which is fine. The 2 main complaints right now seem to be that the Phantom Rifle is in general the best overall gun because of the chip damage available in the game, which thereby reduces the effectiveness of its main competitor, the Vandal. The other complaint is around the Op, the big sniper in the game, as right now it's just way too powerful in its current state. It's so bad that many teams are running double Op, and it can feel impossible to break a competent Opper. One issue though is that I find the game generally to be very defensive favored, both because of the map design and the agent abilities. The characters are pretty cool, and no one feels overly powerful, but some people might disagree with that when it comes to certain characters. For the most part, characters' abilities are focused on utility, so I do think generally gunplay is still the most important factor. While the gameplay itself overall is fun, I think there are some issues with the game in its current state. First, the map design could use some work. The maps can feel quite claustrophobic, as much of the design consists of tight, winding corridors which lead to larger rooms. This leads to tons of corners you need to check, and it can get quite tedious when you have to constantly check corners on your way to a point. They do have some interesting concepts though, such as on the map Bind, where they have teleporters which allow you to rotate across the map quickly. Another interesting one are the interactable doors on Ascent, which allow you to cut off rotations. This discussion of the characters and maps brings me to one of my biggest concerns for the game. Riot has indicated that they intend on releasing something like 6 agents per year, with only about 2 maps per year. Quite frankly, this seems ludicrous to me. In a shooting game, the maps are super important. If the maps suck, the game will not feel fun to play. It's only been a few months of beta and official release, and I can't help but feel tired of the 4 maps that they currently have out, especially since none of them really stand out as particularly fun or well designed. The fact that they intend on releasing 6 characters a year is a bit frightening to me, especially considering that they already stated that the more basic characters were the ones included in the beta, and the future ones are spicier. This leads me to think that there could be some potential power creep in the future. To counter that point though, I'll say that the nature of the game makes it so I feel like one character shouldn't really be able to break the game, like with what happened in Overwatch. But balancing that many characters will no doubt lead to some discontent in the community, and could potentially lead to the need to rework some of the early agents, similar to what happened in League. Not only that, but grinding for these characters can get quite tedious, and it almost feels like Riot's philosophy is to make sure that League or Valorant are the only games you play. From a technical perspective, there are some serious issues with peeker's advantage and hit registration. There are so many times where I can't help but feel like I'm shooting blanks. I'll often think I'm unloading shots into someone, only to find out that I had completely whiffed, or I only hit their legs. The issue with peeker's advantage can also make it feel like enemies are running and gunning, and still somehow landing one taps to your face. This can make the game feel really inconsistent, which is disappointing after having played the beta so much. During the early beta, the game felt so crisp and responsive, but it seems with recent patches, the game has taken a bit of a turn for the worse. These are some core issues that they need to fix, otherwise it'll be detrimental to the game in the long run. Thankfully, Riot's known to patch their games a lot, maybe arguably too much, so I have faith that they should be able to fix these issues moving forward. The final point I'm going to bring up is Riot's pretty egregious pricing schemes. I understand the game is free to play, but I can't help but feel like when you lock characters behind a contract which you need to grind, it in some ways does feel pay to win. Otherwise, you must suffer and grind your ass off to get everyone, especially those which might be considered meta. Thankfully you get 2 free unlocks at low levels, but if they are really releasing 6 characters a year, I can definitely see it becoming quite a grind. Then of course, you get to the crazy price of skins. Yes, I know the skins are awesome and have great animations, but I can't help but feel like $70 to $90 sets with individual pieces costing sometimes as much as $40 is insane. I get it. People are willing to pay for it, but it doesn't make it an okay practice. Then you have to add in the Battle Pass, which is actually very reasonably priced at $10, but in Season 1 Act 1, which lasted around 2 months, many people complained that it was too hard to complete the entire pass without having to play multiple hours every single day. According to a dev, it would take around 100 hours to complete the first Battle Pass, which spread over the course of 2 months or say 60 days means you would have to play over an hour and a half every single day to complete it. Again, this brings me to the complaint that it seems like Riot's philosophy is to make it so that League or Valorant are the only games you can play. Overall, I really do enjoy Valorant. For a while, it was the only game I was playing. It's incredibly fun and can become very intense, but I can't help but feel like there's going to be some issues on the horizon. Riot needs to definitely fix some of the fundamental issues like the hit registration. And again, I have concerns with Riot's philosophy on the number of characters and maps planned to be released every year. Valorant is already poised to be a top game for years to come, and it's free to play, so there's really no reason to not at least try it out if you're interested in it, but I just hope Riot can steer the game in the right direction. If you made it this far, I really hope you enjoyed the video and consider liking and subscribing. Feel free to comment down below what you think of Valorant or any of the points that I made, and feel free to disagree with me. I'd love to have a discussion over the game. Again, thank you so much for watching this video. I appreciate you, and have a great rest of your day. Peace.